What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We'll start off today's video with some good news. Yeah, some interesting news here. Take a look at this. Gas prices to drop like wet feathers, analysts say. Picture some wet feathers. You got a bucket of wet feathers, and they're dropping like wet feathers. This comes as U.S. natural gas production sets a new record high. Yeah, in fact, regular gas and diesel oil production is almost at an all-time high here in the U.S. I'll show you the chart here in a second. You can see this from Forbes. U.S. natural gas production sets new record high here in the U.S. The U.S. dominated global natural gas production until the 1980s, at which time it ceded the lead to Russia. The Middle East has also grown its natural gas production. This is important going into the winter because a lot of people heat their homes with natural gas at a rapid pace over the past 50 years and was on the trajectory to overtake the US and Russia as the world's leading natural gas producer. But then the fracking boom in the US reversed years of decline and began to boost production in 2005. Natural gas production in the US doubled from 2005 to 2022, which pushed the US back into global lead among natural gas producers. In 2022, U.S. production grew by 3.6% to a new all-time high of 94.7 billion cubic feet per day. This new record eclipsed the previous record set in 2021. The U.S. retained a commanding 24.2% share of global production, followed by Russia, 15.3% share, and Iran, 6.4% share. You don't hear a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of propaganda out there about oil and oil production and stuff like that. This is why I like to show you guys this stuff. Here is the U.S. weekly field production of crude oil. This is in thousands of barrels per day. And as you can see here, where this is as the most recent update here. We're almost back at our all-time high. So we're just about at the all-time production high of crude oil, all-time high here. So the U.S. is actually pumping a lot. This is 12.9 million barrels per day. The all-time high pre-pandemic was 13 million barrels per day. Then the pandemic came and it dropped a dramatic amount. It went all the way down to 9.7 million barrels per day. That's when gas was under $2, $1.87 or whatever it went down to. And, everybody quotes it, oh, gas was under $2. Remember back then? Again, that's when, the country shut down. And, demand for gas and diesel and everything went down dramatically back in 2020. Okay. Everybody remembers that. And since then, gas and oil production has been slowly climbing. The day Biden came into office was at the beginning of January 2021, right about here, where it was about 11 million barrels per day, and we're now at 12.9 million barrels per day. And the next time this updates, if it keeps ticking up, we'll be just about back to the all-time high of 13.1 million barrels per day. You can now see here national average gas prices. Hopefully they're gonna be. We'll go back to this headline: gas prices to drop like wet feathers. Hopefully that will happen. We're starting to see it happen already here. Gas prices are down about 10 cents here in the last week after they were going up here pretty significantly. You can see here the national average gas price here at $3.74. Still pretty high. Diesel very high at $4.54. You can see here from the article that, quote, right now, if you're a gasoline shopper, you can find gasoline for less than $2.99 in perhaps half of all states, said Tom Kloza, head of energy analysts at OPIS, who told Yahoo Finance. Let me know down below in the comments section if you can find gas for $2.99 or less in half or in your state, I should say, in your state. I'm sure in states like Texas, maybe Florida, in some of those states. Let me know down below in the comment section how much gas is in your state and city down below in the comment section. He says you can find gas for $2.99 in perhaps half of all states. God bless you if you're in California. I don't think that is the case. He says, quote, we are looking at a 25 to 50 cent per gallon drop in retail. That is virtually certain. It's a glacial pace, but it will be quite noticeable. Gasoline futures are forecasting the drop down at about 43 cents in the last week. Gasoline futures. The current national average for gasoline is $3.77 versus $3.84 a week ago. So I'm guessing that there's a lot more coming. Yeah. Also, many areas will see falling prices as winter grade fuel, which is less expensive to produce, makes its way into the market as well. The bulk of downward pricing pressure is also due to demand, which is at the lowest seasonal level in 25 years, according to the Energy Information Administration. Gasoline demand dropped from about 9.46 million barrels a year ago to 8.78 million barrels in the last 4 weeks. So you can actually, if you just do the math here, if we are producing 13 million barrels a day, or just about that, and our demand is 8.78 million barrels per day, we are energy independent. We're producing more barrels per day than we use, which is why the gas companies ship some of our oil overseas and just sell it. So you can see we're producing more oil and gas than we use. And this is why the oil companies, remember, it's the oil companies, Shell, BP, Exxon, Mobil, you know, they are the ones that actually get to determine what they want to do, who they want to sell it to, if they want to keep it here in the U.S. They, you know, determine the economics of what they want to do. Because remember, you know, if they want to sell it to Canada, Mexico, or somewhere in Europe, it costs money for them to ship it over there. Okay, so it's not like they do that lightly, because remember, they got to put it on a barge and ship it over there. You know, that costs, you know, I'm sure quite a bit of money. So for them to keep it here in the U.S. would be considerably cheaper. So, you know, just think of that here. And also remember here that it doesn't really affect the price of U.S. gas if they do that or not, okay? The price of oil is the price of oil. So the price of a barrel of oil here in the U.S., the price of a barrel of oil in Europe, it doesn't really matter per se, okay? If the price of a barrel of oil goes up, the price of a barrel of oil goes up here all around the world, okay? So if we see something massive happened with oil and it's headline news, the price of a barrel of oil goes up everywhere. Okay. And yeah, and this is why when we've seen the 3 million barrel per day cut from OPEC Plus, which is, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the Middle Eastern countries that make up OPEC Plus, they have cut 3 million barrels per day overall, total combined. That's 30% of the United States total output. So that negates 30% of our total oil output. And that's a significant amount. We're the number one oil producer in the world. Okay. So that's why, yes, we're just about at our total highest oil output ever. But, OPEC Plus is negating 30% of our total output. And that's why prices are still very high, because they can negate 30% of everything we do. Okay. And it really doesn't matter if we kept, first of all, if we kept all the oil here just in the US, we would actually have too much oil. Okay. Because remember, we just kind of seen the numbers here. We're actually producing more than what we would need. So we would just literally be flooded with oil. And that would probably actually make oil and gas, diesel prices go much higher, because that would create a shortage on the market for other countries. And when there's a shortage, prices skyrocket. So if you just kind of think that through. Yeah. So remember, it's a very fragile market. It's just like the stock market. Whenever there's panic and fear in the market because of anything, a hurricane comes through, there's war, one refinery goes down. Remember, we had massive heat this summer, and there was a couple refineries that kind of had lower output, and then prices skyrocketed, especially in California. Tiny little things like that, or even big things that happen, send prices skyrocketing. I think the oil companies, the gas companies use this to their advantage to price gouge consumers and average everyday people across the world. It's not just the US. Gas prices in almost every country across Europe actually pay much higher prices than the US. In fact, Canada actually has higher prices than the US as well. They pay per liter. Almost every country that pays per liter is actually higher than the US actually as well. Yeah, and it's just, I personally think that as the years keep going by, it's almost undoubtable that gas and oil prices will continue to go up and up and up as inflation goes up. Yeah, and I think that this is why we've seen almost every state start to add in solar, wind power, and other alternative energy sources to help supplement getting away from old style energy like coal and gas. It's just getting too expensive. Just getting too expensive. You build solar, you build wind, you build things like that. And for the most part, you build them once and then they just keep producing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Yeah, you have a little bit of maintenance, but they're just a lot cheaper once you build them once. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here. If you haven't yet, subscribe down below, click the bell icon, and I'll keep you up to date. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Click here to see Russia talking about dropping an atomic bomb on their own country and an actual video on it, seeing them talking about it. Or click here, Russia saying that they're going to invade 5 NATO countries. Things are getting wild. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.